my name is Tim Johnson. I'm with the Attorney General's Office out of the state of Arkansas. We are here today to do an interview with Mr. Johnny Cooper, who lives in Little Rock. We are currently at his place of residence, the Parkstone Place Retirement Center, here in North Little Rock.
I went through gunnery school. I went through 2 gunnery schools. I went through what they called A school, and after it was about 3 months long, and then I went from that to an advanced gunnery school, where we studied the 538 gun and also the hydraulics of several guns that operated the gun.
How big is the 538?
It was 5 inches long, and 38 was its caliber. I can't explain that. I don't know.
Yes, sir. How long were you there at gunnery school?
I was 3 months in the A school, and also about 4 or 5 months in the advanced school.
Was that in San Diego as well?
Yeah, both of them were.
Okay. So where all did you serve?
Well, I left out of school and went through the receiving ship, they call it, and I went aboard the USS Boston May the 30th.
May the 30th of what year?
1944.
1944. Was the war going on during that time?
Very center of it.
Right in the middle of it, yes sir. I thought so. I thought so. When did you get the call that you were going out on the Boston? Do you remember? Tell me a little bit.
Well, I went through several of those receiving ships. Well, they sent me out of the school to San Francisco, and then from San Francisco I went to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and I stayed there until I guess they had transportation. But there I received the information right there that I was going on the Boston. Yeah.
Okay. Just what do you think about living on the ship?
Well, during wartime, it's kind of hard to explain. You have about 3 jobs. You have a job of work. You have a watch that you must have, and then you had a battle station. And that was your daily routine. Whenever you weren't on a gun watch, which was 8 to 4. It's 4 on and 8 off. I said that backwards. It's 4 on and 8 off of the gun watches, round the clock. And your job of work, they had you doing a job of work. And your battle stations, whenever you were going to have an engagement or supposedly have one, well, you were on it. You dropped everything and went to your battle station.
How fast is flank speed?
33 knots.
33 knots, okay. And how long did it take you to get there?
I don't know. Well, now that's another part of this story. I don't know when we started, but I do know in the middle of whenever we were going, how fast we were running. And whenever we got, say, over 200 miles from there, it was also getting pretty dark. Not exactly dark, it was in the late afternoon. And he wanted to, our admiral wanted to send the planes out to attack the Jap fleet that was down there to get into that invasion of the Philippines. And he sent out all our planes. And they went down that great distance in late afternoon and attacked them. And that's when they sank their big battleship and sank 2 or 3. In other words, they practically eliminated the Jap fleet right there.
Wow.
But when they turned around and started back to the carriers, it got dark. And dark at sea is pretty dark.
Yes, sir.
And also they were low on fuel. And we lost nearly all of the planes, them falling in the water, running out of fuel. And of course it being dark, and it did the #1 no-no of us at fleet, at sea in wartime, was to turn on all of the lights, searchlights, running lights. If you had any lights, turn them on so they could find their way back home. And some of them got back home, most of them did not.
Can you tell me a little bit about the surrender that took place, the Japanese surrender? The Boston was close in the harbor, wasn't it? Or?
Well, they call it Sagami-Wan, which was a bay outside of Tokyo Bay. And whenever they didn't surrender yet, but it was ceasefire. And the ceasefire was in August, and the surrender was September the 2nd. And whenever that period of time, in between August, what was it, 14th? August 14th, I guess. Anyway, in that period of time, the American fleet anchored in Sagami-Wan, and we was sat there until they surrendered. You know, signed a peace treaty, you know, or signed the end of the war.
Yes.
And while we were at battle stations. That picture I got you, we were at battle stations. All that period of time until the surrender was signed, we stayed at battle stations. And I was at that time in the gun mount. My battle station was in the gun mount, and it had a periscope where you could see out the top. And I got up there and looking through it, and you could see the shoreline, and it was just lined with hundreds of people looking at the American fleet anchored out there. And also anchored close to us was a British battleship, King George. And I turned the periscope around to them to look at the ship over, and it was quite impressive to look at it. It was real battleship. And then I looked at it closer. They were swimming over the side. We were at battle station. Have you heard of the destroyer Maddox?
No, sir, I never had.
It happened to be the destroyer that started Vietnam War.
Oh, okay.
But I was reported aboard it in 1946, and of course the Vietnam War was 64, 20 years later.
Yes, sir.
But I went over there and aboard the Maddox and stayed 11 days, and then they sent me back because they send them back. Oh, they get rid of you 90 days before your discharge date off of where you were assigned. So I had a boat ride to China and stayed 11 days and that boat ride back. Well, I tell you one thing I'd like to say.
Yes, sir.
I think that I had God going with me everywhere I went. And the things that happened to me, you could see where it was an act of God, not an act of just happening. It had to be an act of God.
Yes, sir.
And I'll tell you one thing. When I was in the advanced gunnery school, I had a bad case of mumps. And when I went to the hospital and stayed there, I forget now how many weeks I was there, but I was there an extended time because I was very sick with them. And when I come back out, the class that I was in the school had graduated and left me there by myself. They put me in the class, same amount of time to the end of the training with that class. And of course, that changed my life. I went to, which I've already told you the way I went and got on the Boston. When I was on the Boston, one time I was sent to get the ammo that we needed on the Boston. And when I did get over there, I run into one of my former classmates. And I was happy to see him and everything, and I said, y'all left me behind and y'all went away. Where did everybody go? And he told me that they sent the whole class to New Orleans to get on the ammunition ships. And he was on the ammunition ship. And he's the one I got my ammo for us over there. And the reason why I'm telling this is because later on, and it wasn't from all his ship, it was, we had a meeting with a tank oiler to take fuel, and they didn't exactly give us the fuel that we needed. They also wanted the ammo that we got off a certain ammunition ship for us to give them all the ammo we got off of it. Now, it wasn't the one that my classmate was on, because that ship had exploded and killed everybody on it.
Wow.
And then I got to thinking, you know, if I went with the class, I could have been on that ship.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Cooper, it's been an honor and a pleasure of mine to sit here and listen to you. I want to thank you publicly for your service, and it was for men like you is the reason why we're being able to do this, what we're doing today. And I just want to thank you for your service and for just who you are. And do you have anything else you'd want to say or anything?
I guess not. I guess I've told it all.